All right, hello and welcome back to the broadcast. And wow, I mean, that was an explosive map one to lead us into things as Seattle, from the draft to the early game to the mid to the late, definitely felt like they were in the driver's seat for most of it. There were some hiccups, there were some opportunities Colorado had to really make a mark there, but a lot of them were really short-lived. So Sorin, what do you think we could expect going into map two?
I'd like to see a bit of a draft change from Colorado. Like, they went for this early game tempo thing, but, I mean, we called it out early. Like, these games tend to go long. So if you don't have someone who's there to pick you up at the end, like that Venator, which they had an opportunity to get. Don't forget, they picked Mo and Silver in their first two picks, rather than, the Venator, which was right there. So maybe just clean that up a little bit. I'm not sure if Mo is like a crutch pick for any one of their players, but even still, I would like to see something that comes for the late game for them, just so they have a backup in case things don't go their way early.
Yep, and either way, I definitely do see the Silver continuing to be a pretty high priority pick for them. It was doing a lot of work there throughout that game. Having Ball and Dog piloting it, even though he did get caught out sometimes, it was overall a really strong net positive for their draft. Now, going into this next map, it looks like the sides have been swapped, so Colorado are going to be your first pick. This is probably going to indicate that they're going for a bit of a different strategy here.
Well,
hopefully.
That is certainly different. They're going to ban away the Dynamo, which apparently was enough of a problem for them in Game 1. I believe last time they banned away the Bebop, so we'll see if Seattle have a chance to get that online here in Game number 2. But Seattle will stick with the same thing. They're going to take away the Mirage, which, again, can't really fault that, as Colorado would have an uncontested way to pick that now, as they do have the first pick. I want to see them grab the Venator here and just show that they can play it and get that online. But, that Silver, as you were saying, was a potent tool for them. But there they go, changing things up. Love to see it.
All right, yep, being enlightened onto the power of the Venator, they grab it first. And this allows Seattle to have some interesting counter drafting. Are they going to continue to prioritize the Geist? Are they going to pivot, maybe draft that Silver, go for something a little bit more aggressive? The floodgates are really wide open for them.
They will go with the Geist, and as you said, the Silver here as a second pick would be very nice for them. Just make sure that they can get that, as Silver probably like the second best hero in the meta right now. Kind of debatable of the positions between Venator, Silver, Mirage, but any way you put it, good hero to be able to draft here. But they go for the Viscous instead, and I don't hate it necessarily. They did have a good game on the Viscous last time, but I think there's more value to be had.
Yeah, I definitely do think that seeing him a little bit later in the draft could have been a bit more reassuring, right? Because he does have a lot of potential, but it can easily be denied out if Colorado choose to, lead their draft in a slightly different way. They do pick up the Silver as their second pick, and yeah, okay, we're seeing the run back happen.
Yeah, that's what you want to see.
Yep.
I think Seattle could be picking this Viscous as kind of a deny from Orimer, who does have a lot of Viscous games under his belt, but even still, like, you could leave that for later in the draft or just ban it in second stage. So Seattle leaving some value on the table, which Colorado will take at least some of. The Mo, I feel like kind of similarly, you could leave that for second half, as you didn't get a whole lot of value out of it in the last game, but okay. Okay. Yep. All right.
Okay.
Speaking of value left on the table, well, okay. No, never mind. I did get it a little bit mixed up. I thought CSU were the ones who had the Bebop. No, Seattle do have the number of Bebop players, so that will be picked up for at least the side that makes use of it. So,
okay,
not terrible, but man, do you hate to draft that first half.
Yeah, I do sort of see the vision now, because picking up that Viscous early for Seattle denies Colorado from one of the few cleanse or invulnerability characters in the game, especially with Dynamo banned out. Colorado, they find themselves a little bit pigeonholed into this corner. How are they going to have to, what tools are they going to have to deal with this Bebop in the later game, unless you really want to surrender? Okay, we'll go with a 3200 item, we'll go Counterspell, we'll go Dispel Magic.
That's a good point, actually. Viscous and Dynamo, two of the biggest ones to be able to deny those Bebop hooks, so big stuff there. And Colorado are going to make sure that Seattle can't get any more damage with that Warden ban. Rim on the other side, Colorado being denied from their support pick in the last game, but they've still got some pretty potent picks. Honestly, someone we didn't mention last draft that I would love to see here for either side, if they've got it under their belt, is Kelvin. Kelvin is pretty strong right now, and especially Colorado State can make use of it with this Silver and the Venator, who both do excellent inside of Dome. And neither side seems to be showing an interest for it right now, as Seattle will pick up the Apollo.
Okay, interesting lack of, one of those primary carries. The Lady Geist can slot into that role, but it's definitely not what you want to be picking her for in an ideal draft. And yeah, I think the Rem might have a little bit more motivation behind it through that ban. I mean, the Rem-powered troopers were just shredding through Seattle's base in that last map. So, removing that extra variance, clearing a lot of that macro from yourselves is definitely going to help. And, it's another support off the board. We also see the Page there getting picked up from Colorado. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that one was also banned out last time.
Yeah, that was I believe, Colorado State's second ban. So, support options here a little bit limited for the last half if Seattle choose to pick up something like that, which honestly I would have expected them to do, as Vengeance is largely a support player from my understanding, but in that last game only kind of on the support role, so we'll see what Seattle decide to do. Doorman still open, or they could run back with the Ivy, which there we go, we see it pop up, and now with fewer counters to the Lash, you're going to need someone to deal with that, and that's gotta hope to be this Ivy.
All right. I mean, Ivy makes a lot of sense. We were just talking about the cleanses. Paige having the ability to apply Divine Barrier is one of her optimal items. Makes a lot of sense. Great Talon, run back from Seattle. And, completing their comp, it does definitely have more holes in it than last time. Though, I mean, Wyatt is not to be underestimated on that. And I think the rest of the team has, more than proven themselves to, have a little bit more leeway this time.
I think the script is kind of flipped this time, though, especially with this last pickup of 7 from Colorado State. Like, 7 and Venator are going to be the ones to dominate the late game this time from Colorado State. And the rest of your tools work well for that as well. Page going to be able to keep them up in the gun damage. Silver doesn't fall off particularly hard in the late game. The only thing you got to really worry about is this Mo. As long as he can get the stacks from combo, he's going to be doing fine as well. So Seattle this time a bit under the gun in terms of how early they need to take this. Bebop, Apollo, even Viscous to an extent aren't the best scalers into the late game, and Geist cannot go against 7 or Venator once you get late enough, so kind of a flip here. Time to see if Seattle can pull off an early upset.
Yep, and I mean, another big point, right, is last game we had really strong team fighting ultimates from both of these teams, but you see a little bit of a lack of it from Seattle. Yes, you have the Italy Lausanne from Apollo, but you don't really have that it factor that'll make a lot of your fights pop, just like the Mo and Krill will have, or your Lash will have, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a struggle if you can't deal with either of those ultimates from Colorado State. Like, Lash into a Stormcloud from 7 is just practically a guaranteed team fight, so Seattle at least going to need to build to stop this Lash from the Death Slams, and probably a bit more on top of that. So Counterspell, as you mentioned, is going to be a very good item for them. And we're going to have to see if they can make this Bebop get value, because I think he's still kind of questionable at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle. I'm curious to know how they're going to build him. It's going to be a little bit on the tankier side, or leaning more into that bomb DPS builds. I guess it could also just depend on the player, right? We mentioned before that they have multiple Bebop lovers.
Bit of a 720 no-scope there from Great Talon. Manages to get the double hit, so there's a clippable moment for your resume, but not going to result in terribly much, as we are once again in this early laning phase. Both teams playing it safe as before. Nobody wants to be the first one to die in the lower brackets of playoffs in an elimination match. But okay, Apollo at least getting off the stun from 7.
Yep. Decent amount of action here, more so than I would have expected. I mean, 7 definitely doesn't have one of the worst early games anymore, but it's definitely far outshined by his late game. I get stuck on that word. Anyways, though, having the Ivy here to clear this lane out is just going to help relieve a lot of that extra pressure that you have. Looking at the other lanes, though, it's more so of the same. I think having a Geist and a Viscous is going to, turn your lane into a lot more of a dodging minigame, especially when you're invading this team.
Yeah, they're trying to get this tier 1, and Venator is very low. You got the page there to support him, but clearly no defend and fight available, or plot armor, excuse me, as it's now called. And so that's a successful invade, just denying things from Moose on Colorado State, who will be piloting that Venator as they were with the carry before. So, again, pressure on the Venator to be big in this game. As Seattle just getting off poke, and it seems like they're coming out barely ahead in the life total trades.
Solid advantages they've been able to build up for themselves. You know, you already see the Souls starting to pull up apart just a little bit in this early game. Nice bomb stacks there for the Bebop, already managing to pull himself 6 of his own. I mean, yeah, early game is going to early game.
Yep, and something that I would like to see from this left side lane for Colorado is Orimer to just go out and roam a little bit. Like, leave this 7 to his own devices, once you've made sure that he's not going to get dove under tower, at least. And, you know, Orimer's got a pretty great ability to roam around and get some picks. As for the question there, asked in chat, favorite Pokemon? I'm not much of a Pokemon guy. You might not be able to tell from my username, but I'm more of a Magic the Gathering sort of dude, so don't have much of one, but Heracross is pretty cool in Pokemon Go, at least.
All right, my personal favorite is Piplup. Absolutely love the little penguin guy. Was love at first sight back in Gen 4. Definitely am a fan. Also for Magic, I played the Miku deck, so I know you didn't ask, but
Play the what deck, sorry?
I play Miku decks.
I'm actually not familiar with that.
Hatsune Miku. I just play what's it called, commander decks with her.
Okay, I'm not sure I've seen that. I'll have to look it up, but there you go. There's some off-topic stuff for you, as Deadlock hasn't given us a whole lot to talk about here, just very simple poking going on. Seattle actually falling low on several different heroes here. Page gonna have to be the one who backs off to get a heal for Colorado. So we could see some kill potential here, and that's gonna be big as we get towards buffs here at 5 minutes.
Yeah, Bebop, they're taking a lot of damage. You're not going to be able to secure that kill, though, as Silver's just looking around that corner. Great Talon able to do a lot of good damage to him. Now the bomb getting stuck on top of her. This is going to hurt a lot. 130 HP left in the tank. Dog is hunting for this kill. Nice parry comes through, and the bomb on top of it to end things off. Ruger has got to be happy with that.
Brilliant parry there. I thought he was dead to rights when he went back into the Silver's line of sight. Kind of ended up with an accidental juke getting away and then ran right back in. But hey, if it all goes to plan, it was always the plan, so.
Yep.
First blood now for Seattle, and they have developed a small soul lead just through more efficient farming. As buffs come up, it's only the Viscous and the Geist from mid for Seattle there to take it, and White will go down as trade for that, but I think you're still happy managing to get both bridge buffs.
Yep, able to claim it pretty early. Moose is chasing this guy all the way back to the Walker, actually, with some support from Dog. So, gonna lose out on a potentially little bit of farm, but it overall shouldn't be that big of a deal. I mean, looking back over here, we have the Tier 1 camps going the way of Colorado State, as they're continuing to play really aggressively on this GT. Combo comes out right in front of that Guardian. It's going to be that pickup there is not enough to save him. Dies right under that tower, and the Bebop is looking for that kill onto the Melon Drill.
Might be able to find it, but he's got a Silver chasing him, so even if he does, I imagine that's going to be another kill going the way of Colorado. There you go. We'll get those bomb stacks up, but Lycan Curse is going to ensure that this Bebop does not enjoy them for very long, and this tower now going to be under a decent amount of pressure as Grey Talon just now comes back to the lane.
Yep, solid trades there. It does ultimately result in a bit of Guardian damage, so positive there for Colorado, just by a little bit. Looking here on the other side of the map, though, we see that Viscous just going in for the gank, gets the goo ball on the line. The Owl going around the corner there, and the Silver is grounded, is going to be able to juke them for a little bit longer. The Guardian hasn't been parried yet. He's playing around in this library. There's the parry that we're talking about, but not able to refine their target.
Little disappointing there for Seattle. You brought Gaber over, you had the Hyper Beam committed from Rugert, not able to find a kill. And in fact, it's Colorado State who have a bit more pressure generally over here in this left lane. So you missed out a little bit, but ultimately not the end of the world, as you didn't give anything in trade, and even the Page ultimate there won't be able to find much. So now it's just kind of back to neutral. 7 minutes, you're waiting for Sinners, just get any picks where you can, and there's one there. Moose gets a quick trap and kill onto Gaber. And looks like might be one more here onto Vinjin.
You know, the other side of the map, Dog is putting the pressure here onto Vinjin. Has to reload, though, even after the parry, but wow, he's able to finish off that kill. Lycan Curse gets popped and is diving in deeper. The parry timer hasn't reset yet, so they're not able to keep that aggression going.
A little unlucky there that you're not able to make use of the Lycan Curse, but if it hadn't popped, then Bradley probably would have been able to finish off the kill. So a pretty bloody last couple of seconds here as we are getting ready for those Sinners to pop. Still pretty healthy Guardians around the board, lowest one being that right side for Seattle. And that means that this mid-game could turn into something very snowbally. If one lane manages to get a trade and get a kill, and then get a Guardian, then they'll be able to roam around and finish off the rest pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is that Guardian that they're looking for, right? They were able to deny the healing rate on that Bebop, and now, less than half HP. It is going to be a little bit scary for him to stay in this lane. The bomb does come through, and at 30 bomb stacks, it's a lot of damage, and the Owl, too! Oh. You gotta watch out why it's building those stacks really early.
That's 2 bird kills already, if I'm not mistaken, so good bit of spirit power now online for the GT, and a good bit of pressure as well coming back in onto that right side Guardian. Meanwhile, on this left side, just more trades of cooldowns being forced. This Apollo's so good at making these little trades and getting away scot-free, so love to see it here from Bradley. Not quite online with Yutani Losan, not able to finish off these low health kills, but still, you want to make something happen against the 7, who now has the silver to back up. I believe that was actually a lane swap, but Lycan Curse seems to be petering out with no effect.
Yeah, it is unfortunate to have it pop there on the after effect of the fight. When you're about 99%, it'll always, tick up slowly. Really unfortunate there for the cooldown to go to waste. Now we look over here in the middle lane. Venator taking a lot of damage behind their own Guardian. And it actually is Tofu. Ends up falling out in an exchange on that left side.
Still, things pretty even here in this early game between these two teams, and as we said, we want to see Seattle start to pop off early. The only thing going their way decisively so far are the stacks for both Bebop and GT, so they'll have to make use of that. But meanwhile, on this left side, Itani Losan doesn't connect onto Dog, and instead things reset as Seattle have managed to take a mid Guardian.
Yep, good trade for Seattle, able to get that over in mid, and we look over at the right side of the map. Ivy gets taken off the field as, Seattle, they're continuing to put in some of this pressure, right? They're going for this Guardian. Nice grab there onto the Mo and Krill, and greeting there for the bird stack. It is a bit of a delayed kill, so I'm not quite sure if they were able to get it with the Mercenaries.
But in the meantime, buffs have come up, and it's one apiece. Now Lash comes in this right side, trying to find something. But there's no follow-up onto the Death Slam, so this is just more stacks going the way of this Bebop. And yeah, Warhammer maybe not realizing where the rest of his team was, as he'll just feed another 400 souls on over the other way. Now Ern going to be the focus of this fight.
Yeah, Viscus not able to pick it up before he's forced to cube himself, but second time's the charm, is able to grab it and start to run away. And with the current state of the urn, right, the pickup is one of the most contested points. Now, you are going to be able to put good fight in towards the drop-off, but with some sneaky plays, with some movements, you're going to be able to, sneak one out. Looking here, the Viscus is moving pretty fast with it.
Colorado, though, are ready for it. They've sent 4 people over here, and Mo just getting some pressure on the Guardian. He's going to have that combo up if this fight gets delayed at any point whatsoever, and so that's an Urn now dropped. I think Viscus was trying to get it in, but denied, and so now the fight kicks off for Colorado State's favor in a 3v4. Seattle have to make something happen, but instead, right now, Colorado are just pulling ahead into Life Trace. Hyper Beam comes out, cleaves onto 3, but the combo comes in to interrupt it, and now the bird comes in, manages to pick off Nature Cassie, who got in the Urn, so it's the Soul's going slightly the way of Colorado, but there's still cleanup to be had.
The Bebop there, stuck in a tough place, gets the parry off onto the Lash, but it's not going to be able to do enough damage, plus 1 bomb stack at the very least. Now the Silver is trying to make her way out of this one. It doesn't look like she'll be able to escape, especially given the tools that are chasing her down. It's a nice jump there, but ultimately Dog does bite the dust. You know, Seattle winning the greater fight, losing that urn, things stay neutral in the big game.
Yeah, 2k soul leads, that's about as good as you can hope to get away with there while giving away the urn, so Seattle's still on the sort of pressure angle of things, as you see Apollo poking out the 7 here. So this left side is now the only one with 2 Guardians remaining. Seattle with a slight advantage, as Venator was able to take away the mid Guardian for their side. So now it's just a question of, can you get this tempo going with the Apollo and the Bebop for Seattle, or is this going to fall to Colorado State's side and let Moose and Tofu start to run away with this game?
And Colorado putting a lot of pressure here onto this right side, not quite aware that Seattle are doing their doubles, and there is going to be a potential for them to rotate here onto this fight. The airdrop comes through, and they're not going to be able to find their targets, at least not yet. The GT does get dropped down, and now the Silver is, you know, in charge of escaping here. He gets a nice connected shot there, and the Guided Owl is going to hunt down for this kill. Nice maneuver! Ball and Dog falls.
And this GT from Wyatt impresses every time. Just after the bird there, connects with the trap with the arrow while it's still mid-air to cancel out the Mo combo. So fantastic work there, and Nature Cast goes very low as well towards this fight at only 8,500 souls. This page is not looking to stick around these fights very long, but Seattle do strike back, or strike as well, I guess. They got the advantage over on that side, and now they take the left side Guardian as well. So things looking pretty good for them here at around the 13-minute mark. Just need to pay it off with some centers and hopefully get a couple more kills, and then maybe in a few minutes, we'll see about mid-boss.
Yep, collapse imminent, though, onto that Apollo. There are 3 members of Colorado trying to shut him down. It looks like he's going to be able to escape at least a little bit. The Silver is on top of him, and ultimately the Apollo does get shut down. Bag exchanges hands, and that's some of that soul lead accounted for.
Goes right back the other way, though, as White gets the bird kill on the Ball and Dog. So 4 members of Colorado State on the left side of the map doesn't result in too much aside from, you know, as you said, that bag going the way of Colorado. So now lane shoved in for Seattle. They've got a bit of extra time to be able to roam, and while we're here, it's a good time to look at the soul splits for each of these teams. We got Wyatt and Perp on Seattle being the soul leaders at 15k in the lobby, but Moose and Rockdy not too far behind on the other side. You want to see Tofu get a little bit more farm here. He's got that Cultist. You know he's scaling for the late game, especially with those buffs that Cultist recently received to the number of souls you get. But other than that, anything stand out to you?
I mean, one of the biggest things here is just seeing Moose being again in that carry position. Now they're armed with a, you know, slightly better hero. Are they going to be able to push this effectively in the side lanes? Because I think that's really where Seattle is going to start falling apart there. We see Perp did end up losing their life. So, you know, you're going to start falling behind, especially if you start dying at this stage of the game.
Yeah, it's just about turning that corner, really, for Colorado State. If you can find one decisive fight to put you in the lead, it makes it so much harder for Seattle to catch back up, unless this guy's just truly a monstrous threat. And that's going to be harder for Perp this time on the guys instead of the Venators, so see if that's able to happen, as once again it is Ball and Dog under a bit of threat here. The Lycan Curse comes out, but there's just a cube to attach to, and shockingly, werewolves don't eat a lot of goo. The Lash Slam now comes in. Bebop under threat now. Ruger 1 HP, but manages to find an uppercut to save his life. Now, things start to be traded out between these teams. A lot of low health bars, but no kills just yet. There, Lorimer is the first to fall, and Ball and Dog fairly low, likely to be the next. As things kick off here, and Seattle seems to be ahead.
I mean, man, where did Ruger go? First, I thought he was dead to rights. The Death Slam had him shut down, but with a little bit of movement and a lucky uppercut, was able to put Colorado back on that back foot, and they end up walking away with a 3-for-0 trade.
It's really as good as you would hope for there. A couple of crucial ultimates expended for Colorado that could be used on this urn. And so now Gaber is going to try and pressure this tempo, make a big, even bigger lead come off of this, as this is the best thing you can be doing at this point. Just getting picks. I mean, that mid-walker took about half damage as well. That could be a weak point for Colorado coming in here later, but they are at least going to make this urn a full fight.
Yep, now Sandblast there into a combo. No way out of this one for Rugert. As the 7 is continuing with the blast here, the urn does get deposited. And, you know, Colorado, now they're chasing down these extra kills. Not quite
Geist under a bit of pressure.
Yep, not quite able to find anyone just yet. The Lycan Curse does pop for Ball and Dog, and no vet stun for you yet. He's going to delay it as much as possible, but does end up getting caught out afterwards. We see the Flawless Advance coming through from Bradley, trying to salvage anything he can from this fight, but it wasn't meant to be as he's being forced out.
Unfortunate there that you couldn't quite find Nature Casts on this page, but that does mean that Colorado State are able to trade out the urn. We're back to about an even game here, and I mean, as we've been saying, it does favor Colorado even with Moose down for the next 40 seconds. The only thing you really want here is Tofu to continue to scale on this 7, make sure that those Storm Clouds are doing maximum damage in the team fights, and that you can out-trade Seattle, who are trying to come back in here and make this one big.
Yeah, the Eternal Lasan looked promising, but now they're on the back foot, cube onto the Apollo. It's going to preserve his life for a little bit longer, but the Silver is struggling to find him. Ultimately, Nature Cast does end up biting the dust throughout this fight, and now Tofu is going to be the next target of the aggression. Seven's not quite able to hold his own just yet in the game, as he does get taken down quite late.
It is kind of a big one for Seattle. Like, that's exactly what I said. You need to keep this 7 farming, and, well, now it's not going to be able to for the next 30 seconds or so, and in the meantime, you've also got Rugert just getting a free walker on this right side. Bird looking for Mo and Krill here. Kind of speculative. Doesn't manage to find him, but Rockney will be happy to get out of that one scot-free.
Yep, mid Walker taking a lot of damage from these troopers that are unaccounted for. And I mean, just the story of what happened on right side is interesting. We had Moose and Wyatt trading 1-for-1 thanks to Rugert. Showing up a little bit late and then staying in that lane, walking it all the way towards the end and just double bombing the Walker to death. I mean, wow.
It's kind of surprising to see Bebop be the sole leader of a lobby, but hey, it's still early days, so plenty of time for the farm to get repositioned elsewhere. But that's the power of getting those solo walkers, and I mean, that's a big reason why we saw Perp get ahead in the last game, right? As he took 2 completely solo walkers, and that's, if I remember correctly, it's like 4,000 of a walker.
Oh wow.
4,000 souls inherent in a walker, and about 60% of that goes to the solo person who killed it. So a good amount of souls were put onto Perp just through that alone, and now Rugert gets some of that benefit for himself.
Yeah, those are some pretty crazy money bags there. Now looking into what's most likely next for both of these teams is, in 30 seconds, we have the urn coming up. We also have, mid-boss at this stage of the game after you get a pick, after you get 2 picks, or you win a team fight is definitely on the table. Wow, I mean, Silver falling down so low, but managing to barely escape with their life.
Yeah, now the Venator to contest, but Wyatt always looking for these birds. Got to try and find it near spawn, but Ball and Dog. All right, manages to slip away over towards the mid lane. Seattle are looking on this left side pretty heavily. They're just grabbing the urn for now, as they've got about a 6k soul lead to work with to try and take this. They have been on top of these urns, which I'm a big fan of. You got the tempo draft. The urns are one of the biggest ways to push that lead. They just need to get a decisive fight off of one, which they've been lacking so far.
Yep, definitely still a work in progress here. It's always been super messy, and the urn gets dropped early, gets a lot of denies out on it. Hoping to see that cleaned up a little bit for this fight. But we already have, right, Rugert is in position here to, get more of those bombs out onto the enemies. The Mo and Krill waiting here in wait on with the combo. The Silver gets pulled in deep, the combo to save them. And now Rugert isn't able to do anything about it. Gets picked off first in this fight. And the Flawless Advance as well, pressuring that 7 out. We do see the Lycan Curse transformation here is not able to find that Apollo. Is going to instead jump in deep, looking for them. Bird does stun them off of this chase. Now the Silver is not able to find their target.
A little disappointing there from the Lycan Curse, as mostly just running away that entire time. Bradley able to put out enough pressure to make the werewolf think otherwise, but they did grab the urn and only took 1 death for it, so I mean, I guess you take that if you're Seattle, but really would love to see them group as 6 and get a couple more of those kills that got away from them there. So they need to find another way in the next couple of minutes to start to push this tempo. You're probably thinking not mid-boss, as you would have to contend with the insane team fight capability of Colorado State that we pointed out during the draft, but maybe try and do what Colorado were looking to around this stage of the game last time, and just get active in the jungle. Try and find a pick-off onto this 7 or this Venator. Make sure they can't perma-farm.
The humble Bebop farming with Hyper Beam out in his own spawn. That's definitely something. I mean, it tells you a little bit about how useful that ult can feel sometimes. But, you know, looking at the state of the map, right, Seattle have always done a pretty good job at defending their walkers, and it continues to prove true. Colorado at this stage of the game, right, they're grouping pretty heavily, although we did mention they have a pretty strong side push. So, you know, I'm hoping to see them sort of shed some of that and push a little bit more aggressively if they do want to take up a lot of the space that Seattle is giving them.
Yeah, 7 and Venator just sticking to their side lanes, solo farming, and that's what I want to see Seattle take advantage of. And you see it exactly here. A good Bebop hook from Rugert gets this 7 in worlds of trouble, and Tofu not able to escape that one. It's exactly what you want to see. Get the carry off of their farm, and make sure you take these solo waves yourself, and don't let them just scale to infinity, and take advantage of what you know they're going to be trying to do.
And big hundo stacks for that Bebop. Big congratulations there. And to hit it so early on in the game, too, it definitely feels like he's ahead of the curve. Nice pull there onto the silver. Hyper Beam's already back up this 1200 damage as she tries to escape. Now, the Itani Losan here as well to secure that kill. Didn't stand a chance. Now, we see Rockney there just forced to retreat, burrowed under the ground. As, you know, Seattle, they're continuing this advance onto the walkerless right side.
Yeah, that is the thing. They can't get a whole lot off of that, as it is the walkerless side that they're pushing, and respawn times are still a little bit short for them to go for mid-boss there. Tofu was back up around the time Ball and Dog died, just a couple seconds after, so you'd love to get something off that, but even just 2 picks on their own, especially one onto the carry of Colorado, it's going to be worthwhile for Seattle. So you just, I guess you're waiting another minute for the big earn at 25 minutes, and that needs to be your go button. You need to find something that'll push you, because again, the later that this goes, the more Moose scales up. And even with this 20k soul lead, you're slightly scared of him. Another big hook from Rugert from downtown.
And Tofu is not catching a break, and the max uppercut giving him a second one. I mean, I'm going to be quite frank, Tofu did not stand a chance. No, Nature Cast gets taken down on the other side of the map too. And, you know, this is that opportunity now with your respawn timers up at 45 seconds. You know, you can choose to make a play on the mid-boss with this.
You absolutely need to. The combo there gets canceled out, not entirely sure by what, but that gives an opportunity for guys to get away here. Gave her under a little bit of pressure, and this is stalling out time for Colorado State. You know, the more time you spend fighting this, the less Seattle has to be able to go for mid, and it seems like they're not even really looking toward it at the moment. Maybe now with the casting buff, guys could be looking that way, but no, it's just a back to lane.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you've been dreading, right? The comeback earn is in play for Colorado State. There's not going to be an easy way to tip this back. And, you know, Seattle, they have to make a decision. Are we going to pick this up and stall with it as long as possible? Are we going to try and dunk it into their spawn? I mean, either way, this is a massive, you know, relief of pressure for Colorado.
It is. You haven't given up mid-boss yet, which would be a pretty big turning point. Come on, leave my man alone! A third hook in onto Tofu. And the bomb stacks, where did that come from? Echo Shard. That's where it came from, actually. Found the answer.
A double bomb Hyper Beam on a 31k Bebop. I mean, Rugert has been eating good, and that's something you can say regardless of the rest of this match, so... Now, with the earn in hand, Bradley looking potentially here for a play to dunk it in.
He's going to need the support of the rest of his team, though. Bebop going to be a bit late to this, and without Moose there, good opportunity for Seattle.
Imonkrell hiding there around the corner. Death Slam comes through and is able to get 2 members. On the damage there, the follow-up isn't quite there. Health bars continue to stay high, as the team is doing a negligible amount of damage there. Life Drain onto the Moe and Coil is going to bring them low. Now, the Page is actually going to be the first kill of this fight. Lash follows them shortly after. Rockney down to 1 HP, and now 2 bombs here onto Moose. There's not much left for them in this world. The Urn gets deposited, and it's a full rush towards mid.
Ball and Dog at 1 HP, just trying to get away. Manages to do so, and Okay, there's a Stormcloud there under Rugert, who picked up a solo walker once again before coming to this fight. But as you said, I would love to see Seattle go for this mid. As long as you can get your Bebop out, he's staying in here, and it seems like he's not the one who needs to get out. It's the rest of the enemy team.
Yep, mid boss going down without a hitch. There's no way for Colorado to make it out of their spawn and contest this. We see Ball and Dog trying to get as much pressure as possible, pushing out their Trooper wave on the left-hand side, but is going to be denied before it reaches the walkers. Seems like they're fully committed to seeing this one through, though.
This is the kind of snowball that we wanted Colorado State to have last game, right? Seattle take a big decisive earn fight into a mid-boss, and now they're up 40,000, and suddenly that Venator at 33k doesn't look so scary when you've got 3, almost 4 members up near that mark. And Ball and Dog, once again, kind of getting caught out here, and this is going to be more stacks for Wyatt.
It's just comical at this point.
Mind.
Though, you know, the 1 HP survival is pretty good for them. It's just going to stall it out longer, right? Rugert, what are you doing? Rugert, you've got so many already. Give them a chance, man. Come on.
And the parry to top it all off. I am better than you at your own game.
Wow.
Rugert popping off. And yeah, Wyatt didn't get the stacks there because of the extra resistance from a low health Spirit Resilience. So good counter itemization there from Ball and Dog, as all of Colorado State at this point needs to have Spellbreaker plus Counterspell plus Spirit Resilience to stand a chance against the spirit damage that Seattle are throwing out. So you see a bit of that here on the Moose, but I mean, at this point, there's just so much. And you've got to do damage as well.
Yep. I mean, hey, that's one of the silver linings here is the heavy damage, the spirits coming out from
Good
Seattle gives Colorado an opportunity to itemize if they're able to see this game through long enough. Now, that massive, almost 50k soul lead is going to, really put a damper on that, but I mean, you can still see that they are very well in control.
Yeah, this Walker defense shaping up to really be something, but 3 rejuves on the other side means that this is going to be tough, and especially with Tofu down early. That's 7, a lot of big damage out of the picture now. Moose low, Rugert low as well, but he's got the rejuves to back him up, and so another pick for Seattle means that this is going to be all the more tough for Colorado State, just getting rolled around by this goo ball, and the rest of the damage coming out from Seattle. This is not what you want to be seeing. You need to get at least some people out and safe to stop hemorrhaging this soul lead.
Yep, and, taking that fight pretty cleanly without losing any of your members. Nice parry onto Fijian, but it ends up falling, right? As I was saying, taking this fight really cleanly, clearing out 5 members for none of your regios, you're going to be able to put a pretty strong claim here onto this base, as the base guardians are starting to fall. The shrines are already getting melted out by this Geist. You're in for a pretty tough time.
And comparing to last game, Seattle do at least have someone who can scale fairly late in the Geist, so it's all that much more tougher. Wow, that was a mess of words for Colorado to come into this one, especially if Rugert keeps hitting hooks, which that one not going to land. But I mean, we've seen so much from this Bebop, and you see why Colorado banded out last game.
Yep, Seattle here looking to aggressively end out this game. They know exactly what their win con is, and they're playing harder to it. They're challenging Colorado in their own base, and the Flawless Dance gets the kill onto the page super early. The Venator is not able to stand much longer, even though the Italian Losan, it actually, I think, catches that 7 at the end as Tofu falls. And, yep, 3 members down. Even if you're able to get into that pit, you're not long for this world. Seattle, I mean, really, really good job from this team as they secure the second map and they win that series.
I mean, there you have it. Seattle played a cleaner game there in Game 2. A little bit of struggles early both times for them, but they showed that they can play the late game comp. They showed that they can play the tempo comp, so they really just showed that they can play Deadlock better in this case. And that's pretty exciting for them coming in here, because as we said, this was a Group 2 team, so generally thought of as lower rank than a lot of the Group 1 teams, which was the case for Colorado. And so now moving on further into playoffs, you're proving that you can hang there and probably come into Group 1 for next season. And Not at all surprising to see Rugert here the MVP for Seattle. So many big hooks, and just the damage coming out from this later on. It was a bit too late for Colorado State to counter item effectively against this Bebop, although we did see it a little bit from the Venator. Big plays coming out from this guy.
Yep, Bebop enthusiast, Pokemon enjoyer, and also the Dynamo from the previous matchup. So it's a pretty big switch up to go from the full support ult block build to being your team's main damage carry, your main damage threat, and really flexing your muscles, hitting a lot of those really, really far out hooks. I mean, especially against Tofu in particular, come on, man. It was just too much at a certain point.
Yeah, and the Hyper Beams were getting thrown in there with consistency as well. Not building quite so much for the full ult build we see some Bebops go for, but I mean, clearly what he did worked, and the Hyper Beam just kind of a cherry on top to secure some of those kills. So Seattle with a fairly clean 2-0, and while this was going on, we mentioned the other game going on, the other side of the bracket with Texas A&M was the team facing off against Northwood, and I believe that ended in a 2-0 for Northwood, so they'll be advancing on the other side of the bracket. Some fairly quick games going on tonight.
Yep. Now, we do also have... So this is wrapping up the round 1 of the brackets, and we will see Seattle making their way into the round 2 of lower brackets. We see there Texas Aggies Maroon are going to be facing off against PSU, and we're still waiting on the results of tomorrow's game to know exactly who Seattle's going to go up against. So that game will be televised. You will be able to see University of Toronto and Nebraska play each other, and I think that's the number 2, number 3 seed from our Group 1. So it's going to be a really close series. I'm expecting it to go, the full distance.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Always fireworks when those two teams clash off, and that'll decide both who plays Northwood next and who plays against Seattle next. Honestly, despite Seattle showing some flashes here, the likes of Nebraska Lincoln, and Toronto are a little bit big, and they may have a tough time in their matchup no matter who loses tomorrow.
Yep. So thank you all so much for watching the broadcast tonight. Thank you so much to the production crew as well. And yeah, we'll be seeing you all again tomorrow. Make sure to follow at College Deadlock for any updates in progress. And I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Have a good night, everybody, and bye.